Arsenal fans as well. Your first bid for Declan Rice rejected. We're hearing that bid was worth, in total, £90 million. Just not enough, is it? Just not enough, is it? I mean, I know West Ham want 120, Rory.
I think it's very difficult, because what's happened is, and this is going to be problematic for Arsenal regardless of how things go now, Manchester City have started throwing their weight around. Yeah. Manchester City have started to get involved, and it may be to the detriment of Arsenal that they didn't get this one done, because City seems to have woken up now, don't they?
Yeah.
And you've got to remember as well, City actually have... Look, City can pretty much sign who they want, but they have a prize that they could potentially offer back as a sweetener,
which is
Calvin Phillips.
Yeah,
like you can imagine the conversation.
You can almost offer 60 million in Calvin Phillips to get Declan
because
Rice,
you're replacing the player. You know, if you're in the West Ham team, you're thinking, what on earth are we going to do? Who's going to fill that position? Huge boots to fill. We have to now go and spend some of that money. A player that could come in and immediately sweeten the bitter pill of losing Declan Rice. It's Calvin Phillips.
There's a bigger problem. Look, we are going to talk Brennan Johnson in a second, I promise you, Forest fans. But is there a bigger problem with this now for Arsenal, that Declan Rice, on hearing, and this is just rumours and speculation, on hearing that Man City are interested, now it's like, okay, well, 1 second, let's hold on these Arsenal conversations, because the very big boys now have started to come.
I think there's a chance of that. I think once Manchester City get involved in any transfer, all of a sudden, the appeal from a player's perspective of going to Manchester City is through the roof, isn't it? It's stratospheric. Do you want to, imagine being offered as a footballer, do you want to go and earn huge amounts of money, playing with Pep Guardiola, linking up with some of the best players in the world, being part of arguably the best crop of players ever assembled with a guarantee of silverware? Like, that's what's on offer at City. It's almost unknown in football to be offered that. Like, that's a genuine prospect, isn't it?
Arsenal's a massive attraction as well.
No, of course, but it's incomparable,
The
right?
idea of going to Arsenal and lifting their first league title in so many years, I think it's massive.
But it's incomparable to what's being offered at City. I don't like this. Arsenal are a far bigger club than City. Arsenal are a far bigger club, and the prospect of playing for Arsenal with the traditions and history of Arsenal should be a non-starter. If you have the opportunity to play for Arsenal or Man City, what should be true, and was certainly true when I was a kid, you obviously go and play for Arsenal. The history of Highbury and the marble halls and everything that's gone before, and Charlie George lying down on the floor at Wembley Stadium, is so much history, and that means so much. Yeah. But now, do you want to link up with some of the best players in the world? Do you want to help retain a European Cup? Do you want to earn more money than ever and work with certainly the best manager in the world at the moment, arguably the best manager of all time?
Let's welcome in. The phone lines are open, 03717 223344. Arsenal fans, get in touch on this one. One has Jack, Arsenal fan. Jack, is there some worry now? Look, I've spoken to a lot of Arsenal fans, and yes, there's links with Kai Havertz and Moises Caicedo, but the one that you want is Declan Rice. Is there a concern with Man City getting involved now?
Hello, boys. Hope you're doing well. I think that it's always happened with Arsenal every single year, and I think that if they don't pull their finger out, and when a club sets the price for a player, right? In my opinion, you've got to bite the bullet, you've got to swallow it, and you just pay it. Because at the end of the day, if you want to compete and you want to start competing for titles, then that, as a club, that's what you've got to do. You can't keep lowballing people, do you know what I mean? You've got to go in, pay what they want, and that's it. And I think now, I'm not going to lie, it's a bit squeaky bum time for me as an Arsenal fan, because City have got that power and they've got that pull. If they want a player that bad, they're going to take it. But saying that, I have heard that Declan Rice favours moving to Arsenal because of his family and stuff like that. So, I mean, listen, Declan, if you're listening, please
He listens. He does listen.
Please come to Arsenal, mate, because you're going to be loved and you're going to be an absolute leader. So if you're listening, mate, please come to Arsenal. It would be the better choice.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I'm inclined to agree with you on some level. I can see why the prospect of going to play for Arteta, to link up with some very young, inspiring players. Lots of young players have gone to Arsenal of late and done very well there. Odegaard, Saliba, Martinelli. It's been an inspiring place for young footballers, and they did launch a serious and sustained bid for the league, and they just fell short, and maybe Declan Rice would be the difference there. The problem is, it isn't about Arsenal here. I think Arsenal are a very attractive club for Declan Rice, but you're up against a Goliath. It isn't a fair fight. Arsenal are the best option if Manchester City didn't exist, but Manchester City do exist, and I think it's incomparable. Do you want to go and play for Arteta and Arsenal's Nearly men, or go and play for the treble winners and the current holders of the European Cup? I don't see how it's even a debate.
Because I think success with Arsenal, and if he brings success to Arsenal, is bigger than winning the league with City. Much bigger. A million times bigger. If Declan Rice can go to Arsenal and lift anything, an FA Cup, a Champions League that they're in obviously this season, a league, it's way bigger than winning anything at City.
Your medals are sparkly as anywhere else.
No, it is because they've already done it at City. He goes there and he adds to it. They've already done it.
Yeah.
If he goes to Arsenal and he does it.
For me, it's like when you look at City, they've got Rodri and Stones, right? And now, look, I know he's probably going to go in and he'll probably will start, but when you've got them two players already in the team, it's not like Declan Rice is, to me, is that player that he needs to come straight in, hit the ground running and be the main man. And I don't think he'll do that at City, but at Arsenal he will. Now, I'm not saying he's the answer to our problems, but last year, a big problem of ours was squad depth.
Yeah, 100%.
We needed squad depth. So him adding to the collection in that centre of the park, all right, it's not going to be the answer, but it's definitely a step in the right direction for me anyway. And I just really hope that he's attracted more to the project of Arsenal in the future and the players around the project. So
I agree 100%. Jack, just before you go, is he still there, Jack? He's still there. He is. Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
Kai Havertz, Jack. Any interest in the Kai Havertz one?
Yes, mate. I mean, do you know what? I know he's had a bit of a weird season with Chelsea because he's been playing as a main, out-and-out striker. But for me, I see him more like a number 10. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, look, he's not a bad player by no means. So, if he comes to Arsenal, I think it's a little bit more depth in the attacking region. So, I would never say no to him. I personally, I'm not just saying it because I'm an Arsenal fan and when it looks like we're going to get him, but I think he's a good player, mate. And more the merrier. We've got a stronger option in that attacking region for depth. So why not? You know what I mean? Why not?
Why not indeed? Cheers, Jack. Appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Take care, boys.
Cheers, dude.
mate.
Let's get Richie on the phone. West Ham fan. It's going to be interesting, obviously, because look, they're the selling club. And now, again, you mentioned, Rory, with City potentially being interested, not only do you get money, you could get Calvin Phillips, who is a direct replacement for Declan Rice. Richie, any interest in Calvin Phillips? Bear in mind how good he was for England in the Euros.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, not being funny, it's like the price is on the table. There's 2 years left on Declan Rice. If you want him, pay the price. Arsenal lost out on the player in January because Chelsea come in and gazumped them. Is that what City going to do that to him?
What do you think's a fair price, Richie?
What, 120 million? Definitely.
No, but that is the price. What's the fair price?
Well, I think it's worth more than that. I think he's worth a lot more than that because, hold up, he's won a trophy this year. What other London Cup club did?
Yeah, I mean, look, do you know what? I think that he could be worth that amount to you. I think to West Ham, he is worth that kind of money. In terms of what he brings to West Ham, in terms of what he represents for West Ham, I think he is worth that kind of money. But realistically, if you got an offer for 90 million...
If Jack Grealish is worth 100 million...
This is the problem, isn't it? This is the problem, isn't it? It's Jack Grealish and your Maguires have obviously inflated the transfer market. Realistically, if West Ham get a £90 million offer, I think you accept it for Declan. I really do. I think he's that's his fee, isn't it? It's 90 million. I mean, look, Mason Mount's going for 40. I know he's only got a year left. These are the fees we're hearing for these type of players. I think 90 million.
What do you think you have to spend cash-wise if there was a sweetener of Phillips thrown in?
Phillips and 40 million should get you Declan Rice. Phillips in England international.
Do you like the idea of this, Richie? Would you like the idea of maybe Phillips arriving to sweeten the bitter pill of losing Rice? Do you think he'd be a good player for West Ham?
Yeah. Let's swap him for Harry Kane. Do you reckon that'd be a good deal, yeah? or maybe, thinking, because we're talking about big players, not small players. It's Calvin Phillips, how many games has he played this season?
No, he hasn't had a good season, but we know that he's a good player.
No, but Declan Rice has had a good season, and he's playing well for England, and he's up there. And he's at the end of the day, it's 100 million for, what's his name? the Turkey, whatever his name is. Oh, well, that's right, Jack Grealish. So he's worth 100 million. So what's Declan Rice worth? Because he puts in a performance every game for us. No. We're proud of him, and at the end of the day, he's bought us a trophy, and we'd be proud to let him think. Thing is, he's got 2 years left on his contract.
No, you're right. I mean, look, he's worth.
We can run it down to a year.
Richard, you're right. He's worth a lot of money. He's worth a lot of money. He is.
We've set the standards. We said, this is what we want. Arsenal come with 90 million. 90 million.
First offer, Richie. Richie, first offer. Obviously, Arsenal will offer a lot more, especially if they know that Man City are slightly interested.